Does- Okay, we are live. It usually doesn't take that long, so I was waiting with bated breath. Good morning, Lesley.
Good morning, Nancy. Happy Thursday. I love being here with you on these Thursday mornings.
I'm liking our Thursday broadcast as well. It's kind of like our profitable interior designer broadcast. We try to do it weekly, and I think it's so important because we kind of give mini tidbits that we teach our profit insiders. Right? So we go into a lot more detail and a lot more specific to each person's situation when we're in our Profit Insider group program or my one-on-ones. But here we give kind of little tidbits. So let's talk today about what to do when a client ghosts you. This is a common theme in the Facebook group, the Interior Design Business Forum, right? People always say, what do I do? So let's talk about number one. Don't take it personally.
Yeah. We always feel like it's about us. Oh, my quote was too high. Oh, I was too pushy. I wasn't following up. I did something. We always take on the burden of I messed up. Therefore, the client's not responding. I'm going to
Yes.
tell you 99.9% of the time, it has abso-freaking-lutely nothing to do with you. It is something going on in the client's life. Maybe they got busy with something else. Maybe they need more time to think about it. Maybe there was a death in the family or an emergency. Things happen. And that's a huge mature business move, is to be able to separate your emotions from that and just know, okay, they haven't responded yet. What do I do next? Versus I'm horrible. I screwed up. My prices are too high. They hate me. This job is toast.
I
And
know.
completely drilling your emotions into the ground.
Oh my God. Really, that's the phone call we get the most on the business
Mhm.
helpline. Like, I sent my proposal and they didn't respond. What do I do? I'm like, okay, when did you send it? How did you go over it with them? Don't take it personally. I feel like every day in my life, I get excited about something and I go and pursue it, right? And then 3 days later, I'm like, I don't know if I want to actually do that. Or I need more time to think of it, or something else became a priority. It's hard to give yourself that perspective when you're the one waiting for the client.
Absolutely. Because you're excited about it. You're eager for a response. So I feel like the natural feeling with that is, well, they're obviously not eager. They're not excited. I've lost the sale. This isn't going to become a client. We start telling ourselves these stories and going into crazy
Yes.
town.
Yeah. The stories we tell ourselves. And what do I always do? I don't know. This is going to come up backwards, but it says, hold on. Let me overthink this. So I bring this up often with my clients. Because if you don't know the answer, try not to fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Try not to create your own story to support your hypotheses, hard word for me to say, that they don't like you, that you charge too much, that they, are meeting with other designers. The story we tell ourselves before we actually know the answer. So I always try to tell everyone, stay in the moment. Don't take it personally. And let's see if we can actually just find out before we tell ourselves the whole story. Right? And if we can't find out after, I suggest 3 follow-ups, let it go.
Yeah.
Put the file away. We had a thing, and when I was an art framing and accessory consultant, we always had this thing. My assistant barber would say, let's put it away in the done filing cabinet, because once we do that, it always comes back.
Yeah. It does. There's a weird energetic thing around that when you sort of release it and like, it's okay. This wasn't a fit. This is done. This is moving on. Sometimes they will come back and you never know the story. I had a client last year that I did a consultation and it was going to be a big addition and I didn't hear back from them. And it was the holidays, but I mean, it was weeks and weeks and weeks. And of course, here I am thinking, I did something wrong. I'm too, all the things I was saying earlier. And it turns out that there was a big loss in the family and it completely changed the family's needs, which meant they were revisiting, what does this project look like? It had nothing to do with me, my prices, my process. They just were going through it and
Yes.
needed time to solve things. So, I mean, we all know that we've all got stuff going on in our lives. So do your potential clients. You never know what someone is struggling with, dealing with, what is going on. And you know what? Maybe one time out of 100, they're like, yeah, you're too expensive. Peace out. Okay, fine. Most of the time, truly, it's not about you or anything you did or didn't do.
Yeah, but there's some easy tricks, and you're absolutely right, to kind of get it out of your head and get it into your standard operating procedure, right? Think about if I want to take the emotion out of following up with a client and the angst and the losing sleep, when should I follow up? How should I follow up? Try to implement a really simple 3-step system. It's a 7-day follow-up. First of all, if it's something related to pricing, do it with them on the phone, on Zoom, or in person. Don't
Yes.
just send your proposal and sit there and wait 7, 8. It's been 7, 8, 9 days, I think, since I heard from them. And I sent the proposal via email. I'm like, oh God, please try not to just send a proposal.
Yeah.
Make an appointment on your calendar to discuss it with them over the phone. This way you have a feeling how they received it and you can answer their questions immediately, as opposed to them going off, doing more research, calling somebody else, right? Get that time to overthink for your client.
That change meeting, usually I do Zoom because I don't, everyone's busy and it usually only takes 10 minutes. It's not worth the drive and setting a physical meeting, but 10 minutes face to face on camera, reviewing the proposal. You get to gauge their reactions, read their body language, and like you said, answer their questions immediately. So they're not making snap judgments just based on a document with numbers. That change alone, where I have gone to, let's meet for a proposal. I could probably look up the data, but it has closed so many more jobs and eased my anxiety because you're doing the hard thing first. Instead of like, it's easy to email a quote or proposal and just be like, okay, I sent it. No, have the conversation, look them in the eye when you're presenting the numbers. It's going to be uncomfortable. The more you practice, the less uncomfortable it is. Just say the numbers, watch their reaction, answer their questions, and keep going. So I think that's a really, really valuable tip. Once you've presented your numbers, though, if they still haven't if you don't get the yes, designer, let's move forward, maybe they'll say, we've got to think about it. I need to talk to my partner, spouse. There's something where they're it's okay. They're not saying no, but they don't give you a yes right away. What happens if you don't hear from them a few days later?
Right. So again, before you hang up the phone, you want to say, so how are you feeling about everything I presented? Get their honest feedback, hear what they have to say. And if they say any of those typical objections, which is, gee, I didn't think it was going to cost this much, or I have to check with my husband, wife, spouse, housekeeper, whoever they want to check with, mothers, everyone checks with different people, or I'm just too overwhelmed right now to make a decision. Don't let that be the end of the conversation. Okay, that's
huge.
the problem.
Yeah.
And that is the problem most people have. The minute they hear an objection, they just, okay, all right, great. So I'll maybe I'll give you a call next week, or you want to call me once you talk to your wife and then let me know. Okay, so here's my best tip. Make it very specific. Whatever objection they have, don't let it end the conversation, right? Talk to them about it. So your husband or wife will need more information. Anything else I need to answer for you, so you're prepared when you go to them. Are you excited about going forward with this project? Have I nailed everything that you want? I want to make sure you're excited before you present it to your husband or wife or whoever. And if they're overwhelmed, like, I totally get that you're overwhelmed. This is a very big project. Plus you have your entire life running it also. So isn't that why you called me? Okay. So just don't let the conversation end and then give a specific date and time as a follow-up, which is what you were getting at before when you asked me that, right?
Right. What I typically do is I say, great, we've covered all these things. If I don't hear back from you, I'll reach out again next Thursday. And I set that date and I put it in my Asana and it pops up. You want to be true to your word. It builds trust. If you don't hear from them, don't panic. Just follow up with them on the day you said you'd follow up with them. This is not a scary, hard thing.
No. And if you put it on your calendar, so imagine hanging up the phone after going through your proposal and say, great, Mrs. Smith, I'll call you. How about you talk to your husband and I'll call you 10 o'clock on Thursday. Sound good? Now it's in your calendar. Now I want you to go in your calendar, and 3 days later, you're going to put in an email follow-up just in case you didn't get them on the phone when you were supposed to. And then 7 days later, you're going to do a text follow-up. Notice how I'm hitting them on 3 different modes. If they originally contacted you through social media, you can go back to social media for the last final, hey, is everything okay? Haven't heard from you. Most normal people, when asked if they're okay, will answer because they know you're actually concerned about their well-being. And that really came about from the COVID and everyone being sick all the time, which is still the case often, where people have, like you said in the beginning, people have stuff going on in their lives. It's not just about you.
Yeah. And
right?
those are magic words. Is everything okay? Because truly you mean it. You haven't heard from them in weeks, which is not common for how your relationship's been. It's a wonderful question because sometimes the answer is, oh my gosh, we've been really sick, or this thing happened. And
Yes,
sometimes it's, oh my gosh, no, we're fine. I'm so sorry. I know I'm supposed to get back to you. XYZ was going on. It opens the door in a way that humanizes things and just increases
yes.
that connection with you and your client. It's not just like, hi, have you gotten my proposal? Are you going to give me money? Are we doing this job yet? It's, I, are you all right? Like, is everything okay? Because I thought we were doing a thing.
It's actually a really good transition into a long-term relationship
Yeah.
because it actually shows that you're caring also, right?
Yeah.
It depends on who the client is, honestly, but most of the time, if I give a sincere, listen, haven't heard from you since we went over the proposal. I'm just checking in. Is everything okay in your world?
Mhm.
Someone's usually going to text me back. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I haven't gotten back to you. It has gotten crazy, or we did discuss it and we are going to move in a different direction. You're just looking to get a conclusion. And
Yeah.
sometimes you can even say, can you let me know either way so I don't continue to follow up with you if you're not interested? Right?
Yes.
Or let me know either way so I will continue to follow up until you're ready. You can go either way, whichever one matches your personality better. But what's really cool, and Nancy Lane Interiors on Instagram is saying, I now put a deadline on my proposals.
Oh,
That's
I
been a
love
game
that.
changer for. So I love that too. I think that's great. If you can put a deadline that we need an answer within 72 hours, something like that. I'd be curious, Nancy, what you actually do. I think that sets the expectations. But again, a deadline on your proposal does not, in writing, does not replace you saying the deadline also. Like, please note that I need to hear from you within 72 hours, or it could change my availability for
Yes.
you as a start date, or it might change some pricing. It depends on why you're giving a deadline. For me, a deadline is important because as designers, you need to set your schedule. You need to know how many clients you have. Otherwise, how do you know if you can manage your life?
Yeah, I think that's great. And I use that sometimes in my follow-up wording similar to like, please let me know either way how you're planning to move forward so that I know if I'm still holding space in my calendar for you. Or I can move
Okay.
up. I can't remember the exact language, but something about like, am I still holding the spot for you or can I move my other clients up? It's sort of
Right.
saying like, hey, look, we're busy. We're running a business here. And it's okay if you don't want to move forward. I just need to know so that we can
Exactly. I think
coordinate.
your wording is great. Nancy said mine is 10 days and I follow up with email reminders. So again, I just want to point one thing out to Nancy and anyone else who's just using email as your
Mhm.
reminders. If your first proposal went into their spam or junk folder and they are not in the habit, like business owners, to check your junk or your spam folder, a second or third or fourth email follow-up is going to end up in that same junk folder that what
Yes.
they're not seeing, which is why I say if your first was an email, sending the proposal. And if you don't go over it with them over Zoom or over the phone, which we're saying you should, your next follow-up should be in a different way, a phone call or a text or through social media. So just in case those emails went into spam, you're not just loading up their spam folder
Yeah.
with follow-up emails.
I love that. And I think that's something we don't always think of is to go through other channels and it feels weird, but if I'm assuming your intake form on your website gathers this data, you should have at least their email address and their phone number.
Correct.
And those are a good starting point. And like you said, social's a great thing too. If they DM'd you to inquire about a project, that's a great channel to circle back and say, hey, I haven't heard response to my emails.
Yes, exactly. So what we're doing for everybody is we have a free resource that is called the, wait, what are we doing? Oh, the follow-up sample script. So it's kind of what I went through in this live, but a little bit more specific. We give you some sample wording that you can modify. So we gave you the link. Again, it's free. We ask for name and email address, just like everybody else. And I hope that it helps everyone. This is something that comes in a lot.
Yeah.
And I think what happens is when you haven't had to use your follow-up series in a while, you forget how to do it, right? You forget you need to do it. So
Yes.
everybody set your follow-up procedure. Set it up where it's part of literally a procedure, meaning I sent it and then it goes on my calendar when I should do my follow-ups.
Yes.
Not, I'm going to hold it in my head. And next time I go to my desk, oh God, I never followed up with Mrs. Jones. Let me go do that, right?
Yeah.
The money coming into your business is a priority. So following up on proposals especially is important. If you're following up on phone calls, inquiries that come in, again, you could do a same 3 follow-ups and that's it. It's a 1-week follow-up series. It doesn't take long. I
Yeah.
don't want you following up a year from now unless you put it in, which you may do. I think it's a great thing to do. Once a client kind of disappears, finishes, or never uses you, you can certainly place them into a 6-month follow-up also.
I was going to mention that. So, like a bonus tip, if business is a little slow, go back and look at your leads and inquiries for the past 6, 12 months. Was there anyone that was interested but hesitated there? And caveat being, you actually wanted to work with them. I'm not talking about red flag clients that weren't a fit.
Right.
You never know. Reach out to someone that expressed interest. Maybe you had a consultation call, but it wasn't the right time. Again, you never know. Sometimes just that little bit of outreach is like, oh yeah, no, we were thinking about that. Yeah, let's book another call to get things started. It's
Yes.
worth keeping them on your radar, but let go of the commitment. It's okay that they're not a fit, that they're not ready for you right now, but keep them in your little back pocket just in case.
Definitely. Definitely. And it really can work. And yeah, some people will be like, not interested, hang up. And that doesn't feel good, but it will last only 10 minutes. Let it go, if that. But that one person who says, oh my God, I've been meaning to call you. Yes, we're ready to either go to the next stage or to do that project we never did, or we finally have the money. And you're doing yourself an injustice by not just picking up the phone and giving it a try. That could be your low-lying fruit when you have no business, right?
Love
to go
it.
after. So,
Yeah.
all right, everyone, if you didn't watch from the beginning, go back to the beginning to hear all the tips we gave on what to do when a client goes to you at all different stages. The bottom line is do your follow-up, set it up in your procedure so you don't angst over it, make it part of your standard operating procedure, and then let it go. Let it go. All right. All right, everyone. So we won't be here next week, but we will be here the week after that. You can always go to my YouTube channel and watch all of our lives. It's Nancy Ganzerkofer, Interior Design Business Coach on YouTube, and all our videos are there, and they're listed out in a playlist. So if you ever feel like you're missing videos that could be helping you, just go over YouTube and subscribe to my channel. And also, of course, follow Lesley and I on Instagram. We are our names on Instagram. All right, everyone. See you next time. Thank you,
Bye.
Lesley. Bye.